New World Aeternum. Should you buy it? Is it worth it? I don't know. Let's talk a little bit, figure it out, because it's going to be different for every person out there in regards to what exactly they're going to get out of this game. So, in a nutshell, New World is a game that Amazon launched a few years ago on the PC. It launched as an MMO, and it was a fun game. I played it at launch. There are videos on my channel from when I played at launch, although I wasn't doing this full time for a living back then. But I did cover the game's launch, and I had a lot of fun playing it. But eventually it got to the point where I got my 40 hours out of it, and I moved on to other things because I wasn't really interested in playing it as an MMO, even though it had a lot of MMO activities at the time. It still does have a lot of MMO activities. But over the past few years since the game launched, Amazon has been hard at work, continually polishing the game, adding new content to it, and doing what any MMO that exists as a live service game does. They patch and they patch and they patch and they polish and they polish and they polish and they add more stuff. What Amazon has done here with Aeternum over this open beta weekend in particular is thrown open the doors and shown people that they've done what very few other MMOs have done, which is taken the time and money to invest in creating console editions of their game that they launch after the fact. It's very rare for a game to come along and do a PC only launch and then 2-3 years down the road also do a console edition. When we're talking MMOs, strictly speaking, usually what happens is if an MMO is going to have a multi-platform launch, they're going to do it right out of the gate, like with Lost Ark or say Diablo 4 as an example. So it was very refreshing to me to see this open beta weekend spring up and allow me to test out the new version of New World, which is New World Aeternum. Now, I've been playtesting over the weekend on the PS5. It has been an absolute great time. This is not the game that I played at launch. This is a much more polished edition of the game. They have streamlined everything. There is now a main series quest which takes you from start to finish all the way to the end of the game, which is level 65, and it is 100% soloable all the way now. They've gotten rid of those annoying forced group stuff, and now it's group optional stuff. So think of this as a new version of New World that is coming out on October 15th, and it's going to be fully cross-play, so you're going to be able to play now. Instead of PC only, it's PC, Xbox, or PS5, and everybody's on the same server playing together. So if you already own this on the PC like I do, your version of the game will become New World Aeternum when this comes out on October 15th. If you're wanting to play this on a console, whether it's the PS5 or the Xbox, you will need to pick up a new copy. In all cases, whether you're starting from scratch on the PC, the Xbox, or the PlayStation, as of this recording, I think it's around $60 to get into the game. It is a buy-to-play and then afterwards free-to-play game that has continually patched and added new content. They do have a cosmetic store, but that's optional, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that we could talk about before we even talk about the cosmetic side of the game. So without further ado, let me go ahead and reduce my big fat head so we can go down here and actually show off a little bit of the game and talk a little bit about this. And by the way, if you haven't already done so, be sure to check out the videos I've been producing around the open beta weekend so that you can get a chance to see the gameplay in action. You can see my early thoughts videos, my review of the open weekend, and everything else that we've been doing, because there's a lot that's been going on in this game. So, background, the game launched a few years ago. Here we are, flash forward. Now we have a new version of the game. One of the things I will tell you right out of the gate that I love with the new version of the game is the streamlined main quests, which now are it's fully voiced all the way through. Every single NPC I've interacted with has been voiced. We now have cutscenes and cinematics. There's an entirely new storyline compared to what was there when the game first launched. And that whole leveling experience has been completely revamped. Also, Now the way the game works is when you start the game, you're given a choice of archetypes, which allow you to choose a couple of different weapon abilities and a set of sort of like starter gear, which is like a cosmetic set as well as some stat gear. So in this case, I went with the ranger because I had never played the bow before, so it's the bow and the spear is what they start you with as a ranger. But if you go in here and look at the character here, these are all the different types of weapons you can have, and you can choose to take all of these, any of these, whatever you want. It's just you're always going to be switching between two sets of gear, like a main set and a backup set. So right now I have the spear and bow. So I'm on the bow right now. Now I'm on the spear. I switch to my bow. I switch to my spear. It's there for the people who want to do it. You can level up everything if you want. I'm happy with just taking 2 of these. And if you look at how this works, in each one of these, there's a skill tree for each one of these weapon types. There's a bunch of abilities that you can choose, but you can only ever choose to have 3 equipped abilities at any given time. So it's up to you to choose which 3 that are going to work for your playstyle and how that you want to set them up. And beyond that, you've got your traditional character development where you've got stats for your character, all these different attributes which do different things. I'm going max dex because I don't need anything else. There's also the weapon mastery. There's also trade skills, and this is where I would say the second part of the game lies, and probably one of its big strengths. It's definitely one of the things I love about this game the most is the crafting and harvesting system in this game, which is absolutely it's a joy to play. So you do all your traditional harvesting that you would see, and you can craft your own gear, which is great. But also the way this works is there are these settlements that you can go to and buy housing in. But this is also where all the crafting stations are located. And the way the settlements work is they have tiers and levels. And there is essentially a workboard wherein you can go find quests, and you can contribute to leveling up that town alongside the rest of the community. And as the town grows bigger, there are perks that come with the town getting better and leveling up. You get better crafting stations and more stat bonuses and all sorts of fun stuff related to helping the people in your area level up that town. So crafting doesn't serve just the purpose of gearing up your character. It can also be used to contribute to helping level up the town, because the missions that you get from the town board can be a crafting quest, it could be a harvesting quest, it could be a typical adventuring quest where you go out and kill something. But very often there are crafting, and it's all different types of crafting, like maybe craft some ore, maybe make some weapons, maybe do some potions, maybe make some food. There's lots of different ways to contribute. So there's that aspect of the game. Then there is the syndicates, which are these factions that you can join, which were there originally in the game, and they offer different varieties of armor sets and cosmetics and all of these additional quests that you can go out and do, which are not related to the main quest of the game. There's also, just going through here and looking at all these different activities, these are the optional group-based things that you don't have to do unless you don't want to. There's expeditions, which are dungeons. There are mutated expeditions, which are more difficult. Then there are raids. Notice that these are grouped into PvP and PvE. These are all the PvP options: Elite Trials, Seasonal Trials, Soul Trials. And then there's PvP. There's 3v3 Arena and Outpost Rush, which is where it's 20 versus 20 to take over an outpost and to defeat. And so there's offense and defense, and there's a lot going on there. But PvP in this game is 100% optional. You don't have to participate in it unless you want to, and it's associated with events. The map. How do I say this without spoiling the story? Think of this island like the island in Lost. It is an island that has been around for many thousands of years, and many different time periods, many different peoples have come from various time periods to this island for various reasons. So when you're wandering around this island, you're going to find various types of architecture, from Egyptian to Spanish Inquisition to science fiction to... There's just lots of different stuff going on here. And then there's the ancients, the people who built some of the technology that's here as well. And there's definitely primarily fantastical elements going on here, but also a little bit of sci-fi. I'm trying not to spoil the story too much, but there's a force of good and a force of evil at play on the island, and you're going to be involved in that. The map is really, you might look at it at first glance and go, it's an island, it's not that big. Trust me, the island is really, really big. This is all seamless, there's no zones. The expeditions are zoned, instanced, but everything else, this is all one big place that you can just run around. If you can see it, you can get to it. So if we were to go over here and look around, anything we can see on the horizon we can run to and get to. Like, look at that cool like floating ruin off there in the distance somewhere. Like, we could run over there and get to that. It might take us a while to get there, but we could totally get there. So there's your traditional crafting, harvesting, and questing that you would see in most other games. And I know this game originally launched as an MMO. I would no longer classify this as an MMO. I would classify this as a single-player game that is within the shell of an MMO. It's probably still marketed as an MMO, but the way it plays now, I would call it more like a action-adventure RPG that happens to have group-based content that you could optionally choose to participate in if you want to. I choose not to. When it launched, I did. We played it with our gaming community, and we went in and we did expeditions and all sorts of fun stuff with our guild. And these days I'm playing this with the open beta in particular. I'm playing it as a single-player RPG. And I know some people have said, yeah, but back in the day you had to do the dungeons in order to progress, and those were forced groups in back in the day. Yes, but now they have solo trials. So instead of needing to go through dungeons, you can now do everything solo related to the story. And the new quest line that they've added with the Aeternum edition, which is the new version of the game that's launching on October 15th, they have a new series of main quests which take you all the way from start to finish and level you up entirely all the way through that. And there's side quests galore. There's mounts now, which they didn't have at launch, and those I believe came with the expansion that happened. I don't know when it happened. A couple years back, a few years back. Not a couple years back. The game just launched a couple years ago. I don't know when the expansion happened. Sometime within the last year or two, there was an expansion which added mounts to the game. But essentially what they're doing is they're taking everything from the base game and the expansion, putting that all together with a huge level of polish and a brand new main series quest and calling it Aeternum and launching it on consoles on October 15th. And the existing PC version of the game converts over and becomes the new version of the game. So if you have the PC version already, you'll be good to go. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. So, there's a lot going on here, and there's more than I can cover in a 15 to 30 minute video. This is a big game. There's a lot of things to do. There are a lot of different cosmetics to earn. There's a transmog system now. There's gear that you can get through the game. There's gear that you can get through the season pass. There's gear that you can get from PvP. There's gear that you can get from the cosmetics store. There's lots of ways to get gear to transmog your character. And so it's not just about going out there and questing. It's also about being able to create the unique look and feel for your character that you want. There is magic. Obviously, there are also muskets and pistols. So going into the character window here, go back to weapon mastery. The magic is related over here, so it's all based on weapons. If you ever played like Guild Wars 2, it's kind of like that in the sense that Void Gauntlet is like necromancy and some debuffs and stuff. Ice Gauntlet is ice magic. Life Staff is healing magic. Fire Staff is fire damage. And then you've got bows, muskets, blunderbusses, great swords, warhammers, great axes, spears, flail and shield, hatchet, rapier, sword and shield. So there's lots of different varieties here, including guns. The sound design in this game is really, really, really good, especially the sounds of the muskets and also the sound of like harvesting the pickaxes hitting the rock, the way the trees sound when they're getting chopped down. It's really, really good. There's also a lot of different types of mounts, which you can see here. There's the wolves and lions and horses and even a bear, I guess, somewhere at some point. there was. So there's different types of mounts. There's a riding skill, which you level up through doing races and stuff, which helps you make your mount faster. There's all these equipable items that you can put on your horse as well as on your main character. We can look at gear here. So there's my gear. There's my harvesting gear. There's instruments. You can play musical instruments in this game. You can learn songs. There's fishing in this game. There's the mount and all these things that you can do with mounts. It's a really rich and deep game, and it has a lot going on. I know one of the things that kept getting asked during the streams the last couple of days is this a survival game? It is not a survival game. It is what I would consider to be it's a heavy on the crafting and harvesting if you're going to be getting into like the best gear sets and the outpost stuff and the PvE content alongside other players on your server. If you're going to participate in that social aspect, then it is a crafting game, a crafting harvesting game smudged in there with a single player action RPG. With optional group-based components, but it is not a survival game in the traditional sense. You do use food to give yourself buffs and to help heal. Also make potions to give yourself healing potions, but you can also buy those off the broker if you don't want to make them for yourself. There's also housing if you want to get involved in housing. I've never done anything with the housing side of things, so I can't really speak to it. But I do know the combat system is very fluid. Like I said, I've been playing it on the open beta weekend with the PS5, and it's been a great experience. Previously, I played it on the PC, and I did come back at the beginning of the year when they added controller support and tried it with the Xbox controller, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the game looks like on October 15th on the PC when they switch everything over, because I will just go play it there since I already own it there. So we're 16 minutes in. Is it worth it? Should you buy it? I think that if you're looking for a game that has a lot of content to play, yes. This game has already been out for a hot minute. And so if you're looking for something that's already, like, when did it come out? We're going to look this up really quick. When did New World launch? New World launched on September 28th, 2021, so about 3 years ago. So the game has had 3 years to add content to the game, and it released an expansion. So there's already a metric boatload of content in the game, plus the newly revamped main storyline that goes all the way through and levels you from start to finish. There's a massive crafting system. There's raids. There's dungeons. There's PvP. There's a ton of stuff to do, whether you're playing solo or playing with group. If you're looking for a game that is fun, that is polished, plays well, it has a fun gameplay loop, and just has a lot of things to do, you could do a lot worse than New World Aeternum. This is the new version of the game. I realize that some of the long-term players, we've seen some complaints along the lines of, oh, it's BS that they didn't add any new content this last year and instead they worked on the console editions. Woe is us, PC players, because we wanted more content and we didn't get more content. The reality is that by making console editions and launching these simultaneously with the PC edition to where everyone can cross-play together now on the same servers, we have now bolstered the community. We've got more people playing the game, and that's never a bad thing. More people playing the game is never a bad thing. And now that they've got their console editions out and everything is out together in crossplay, they can now get back to releasing content patches on top of the 3 years of content they've already added. But now it's content for everybody across all the platforms. That's a pretty bold move. Not very many companies out there are going to take the time and money to invest in creating console editions several years after launch, which just goes to show you that Amazon is committed to the long-term polish and refinement of this title as they continue to make it bigger and better and bring more people into the fold. It does have a really cool storyline. I like this sort of Spanish Inquisition type start, but then you get into all the different like timelines and peoples who have visited the island and who have left their mark on it and how that plays out in the storyline. Again, I'm not spoiling any of the story here because you totally need to play it. And if you want to see the combat at play and see how the action combat plays out, just tune into one of the live streams or check out one of my other videos where I showcase the combat because it is quite a lot of fun. I do enjoy it. I much prefer the action combat on the controller, so I was really happy when they added controller support in early 2024 to the to the base game. And now with the console editions out, it's fully supported across every bit. It's a lot of fun to play. I do think it's worth the money. Again, if you own the PC version, you have to have the base game plus the expansion pack purchased. If you have both of those, your version of the game will become Aeternum on October 15th. And if you don't already own it, you can pick it up on the Xbox, PC, or the PS5, whichever platform or device you prefer to play it on. And this version of the game comes out on October 15th, which I've said a couple of times. I do think it's worth it. I think it's a lot of fun. I do plan on playing a little bit of it when it comes out, but I have already played the base game, but I'm looking forward to seeing what the new storyline is like, because I would love to run it to completion and just see what it's like. So I think we're going to be diving into this in October. So stay tuned for more. Daily streams happen here and on Twitch. I multi-stream every day. I play a lot of games. This is my full-time job, so hopefully we'll see you in the next video or live stream. Until then, stay safe, happy gaming. Don't forget the socials, Patreon, and the Discord. Cheers, folks.